Hey there. Welcome to Life Wisdom, your friend for figuring out how to stay healthy and strong past 70. We're here with practical, everyday stuff that makes a difference, and today we're talking about something that matters to all of us, our hearts. We're digging into top 5 signs your heart is healthy after 70, scientifically proven vitality secrets for the elderly. These aren't guesses or fancy theories. They're 5 straightforward signs, backed by real research, that show your heart's doing okay as you get older. I read something the other day that stuck with me. A healthy heart can add years to your life. Maybe not a ton, but enough to enjoy more time with family or doing what you love. I've wondered about my own heart sometimes. You know, those moments you think, am I still good? And it's a relief to know there are simple ways to check. Whether you're over 70 yourself or keeping an eye out for someone who is, this is your down-to-earth guide to knowing your heart's got you covered. Nothing complicated, just stuff you can look at in your daily routine. We're going through all 5 signs one by one, from how your pulse feels to how you're holding up through the day. Every bit's got something you can use. If you're new to Life Wisdom, hit subscribe and join us. We're all in this together, sorting out these proven tips to keep your heart steady and your days good. Let's get started. It's worth a listen. Let's start with something you can feel right under your fingertips. A stable, resting heart rate is one of the first signs your heart's doing just fine after 70. It's like a quiet little signal that your ticker's still keeping time, steady as ever. HeartHealth's got some good research on this. They say when you're sitting still, a heart rate between 60 and 80 beats a minute is a solid mark of a healthy heart for folks our age. Anything under 100's still okay, but that 60 to 80 range is where it's really humming along. I've got my own story with this one. A couple years back, I started noticing my heart would race a bit when I'd sit down after a busy day, like it couldn't quite settle. I'd put my fingers on my wrist sometimes, counting those beats, and it'd be up around 90 or so. Nothing wild, but enough to make me wonder if something was off. My doc suggested I keep an eye on it. Said a steady pulse when you're at rest shows your heart's not working overtime. So I started paying attention. I'd sit with my coffee in the morning, take a minute to count, and after a while of eating better and walking more, it dropped down to about 75. Felt good to know it was calming down, like my heart was saying, hey, I've got this. That's what this sign's all about. When your heart's resting rate stays nice and even, it's pumping blood without a fuss, keeping your energy where it needs to be, and not wearing itself out. Harvard's folks say a stable pulse means your heart's strong enough to handle the day and recover at night. If it's racing too much when you're just sitting there, it might be a nudge to check in with your doc. Here's how you can take a look. Next time you're relaxing, maybe over your morning tea, put 2 fingers on your wrist, count the beats for a full minute, and see where you land. 60 to 80 is a sweet spot, but don't worry if it's a little higher, just keep an eye on it. Or do it after a nap when you're nice and calm. I like that time best. It's quiet and easy. Or check it a few times a week to get a feel for your normal. It's a simple way to know your heart's keeping up, and we've got a pressure check pumping up next to dig even deeper. You're tougher than you might think. A steady beat's your heart's way of showing it's still in the game. My doc puts it plain, your beat keeps you strong. From that steady beat we just checked, here's a number that's been quietly keeping tabs on your heart. Having your blood pressure in check is a big sign it's doing all right past 70. It's like a little report card your heart fills out every day, showing it's not working too hard to keep you going. The American Heart Association has some solid research on this. They say a blood pressure reading under 120/80 is a good mark for folks over 70, cutting your heart trouble risk by about 25%. Anything under 130/85 is still decent, but that lower range is where it's really running smooth. I've got an idea. Let's make this hands-on. If you've got a blood pressure cuff tucked away somewhere, grab it and take a reading with me right now. I'll wait a sec while you strap it on, and we'll see what your numbers say. Go ahead, wrap it around your arm, hit start, And let's check. Mine's usually around 122/78 these days, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. A couple years back, I didn't even think about this stuff. I'd go months without checking, figuring my heart was fine as long as I wasn't winded. But my doc pulled me aside one day and said, "Those numbers tell a story. If they're creeping up, your heart's asking for help." So I started keeping tabs. Not every day, just every week or so. And it's been a relief to see him settle down after cutting back on salt and walking a bit more. That's what this sign's about. When your blood pressure's in a good spot, your heart's pushing blood through without a struggle, keeping everything steady without wearing out. The AHA folks say those lower numbers mean your arteries are clear and your heart's not straining. If they're climbing too high when you're just sitting there, it might be worth a chat with your doc. Here's how to keep an eye on it. Grab that cuff once a week. I do it Sunday mornings with my coffee, nice and calm. Or sip more water through the day. It helps keep things even, and I've noticed a difference. Or cut back on salty snacks if you're like me and love chips. It's a small swap, and we've got energy stepping up next to dig a little deeper. You're doing better than you might think. Steady pressure's your heart's way of saying it's got your back. My doc keeps it simple. Pressure powers your pump. After that, blood pressure check we just talked about. Here's a sign that shows up in how you move through your day. Not getting worn out from light activity is a real clue your heart's in good shape past 70. It's like your heart's way of saying it's got enough steam to keep up with the little things without tapping out. The Journal of the American College of Cardiology has some solid research on this. They say if you can walk a short stretch or climb a flight of stairs without huffing and puffing, your heart's doing its job well. And folks over 70 who stay active like this cut their heart trouble risk by about 30%. I've got this imaginary heart doc in my head. Let's call her Dr. Jane. Picture her with a warm smile and a stethoscope, leaning in to say, if you're getting around without feeling winded, that's your heart telling you it's still got plenty of push. She'd tell you she's seen it in her patients plenty of times. Folks who can handle a quick walk to the mailbox or a trip up the stairs aren't just lucky. Their hearts are pumping blood where it needs to go, keeping them steady without breaking a sweat. Dr. Jane's onto something. This isn't about running marathons. It's about those everyday moves showing your heart's still got your back. The research backs her up. When your heart's healthy, it delivers oxygen without strain, keeps your energy steady, and doesn't leave you gasping after a simple task. If you're wiped out just crossing the room, it might be a nudge to check in with your doc. Here's how to see it for yourself. Take a 10-minute walk around your block next time you're out. I do it to the corner and back, nice and easy, and see how you feel. Or climb a flight of stairs, 1 or 2's plenty, and notice if you're breathing hard or feeling fine. Or carry a light bag of groceries from the car without needing a break. Whatever fits your day, it's a simple way to know your heart's holding strong, and we've got cholesterol stepping up next to dig a bit deeper. You're tougher than you might think. Feeling good after moving a little is your heart's quiet high five. Dr. Jane keeps it plain. Motion proves your might. From that little bit of moving we just talked about, here's a sign that's been working behind the scenes in your blood. Balanced cholesterol levels are a quiet way to know your heart's holding strong past 70. It's like an unseen guard keeping your pipes clear, letting your heart do its job without a hitch. The Lancet Cardiology has some good research on this. They say if your LDL, that's the bad cholesterol, stays under 100 milligrams per deciliter, and your HDL, the good stuff, is above 40, you're cutting your stroke risk by about 20%. Even under 130 for LDL is still decent for folks our age, but that lower marks a real sweet spot. I've seen this one play out with my old neighbor Sue. She's 74, and a while back she started getting her cholesterol checked after her doc flagged it creeping up. I'd catch her at the mailbox, and she'd tell me how she'd been feeling sluggish, like her get up and go just wasn't there. She got her numbers back one day. LDL was down to 105 after swapping fries for oats most mornings. And next time I saw her, she was out in her garden pulling weeds, moving easier, with a little grin like she'd won something. She said, "I didn't think it could matter that much, but I feel lighter now, like my heart's got room to breathe." That's what this sign's about. When your cholesterol's in balance, your heart's not fighting clogged lines, pumping blood smooth and steady to keep you going. The Lancet folks say those good numbers mean your arteries aren't gumming up, your heart's not straining, and it's got the juice to keep you rolling. If they're off too much, it might be worth a chat with your doc. Here's how to take a peek. Get a blood test once a year. I go with Sue to the clinic every spring, makes it less of a chore. Or eat a bowl of oats most mornings. It's simple, and Sue swears it's her secret weapon now. Or cut back on fried stuff like I've been trying, swap it for a piece of fruit, and you're doing your heart a favor. Plus, we've got energy all day coming next to wrap this up. You're tougher than you might figure. Balanced levels are your heart's way of saying it's still in the fight. Sue puts it best, cholesterol keeps you clear. After those cholesterol numbers keeping things clear, here's a sign that shows up in how you feel from morning to night. Steady energy all day is a real hint your heart's doing fine past 70. It's like your heart's telling you it's got enough fuel to keep you going, without running out of steam. The Mayo Clinic's got some good thoughts on this. They say if you're not hitting a wall by midday or feeling wiped out after regular stuff, your heart's pumping blood and oxygen well enough to keep you steady. And folks over 70 with that kind of energy are showing off a ticker that's still in good shape. Picture Grace, 74, keeping a little notebook by her kitchen table. She started jotting down how her days felt a while back, and it's like reading a log of quiet strength. One day she wrote, "Walked to the mailbox and back, no dragging, felt good all afternoon." Another time, made lunch, tidied up, still had pep to sit with my tea. Heart's keeping up. She's been at it for months now, and you can see it. She's got that calm, even energy, no big crashes, just moving through her day like it's no trouble at all. That's what this sign's about. When your heart's healthy, it's feeding your body what it needs without skipping a beat, keeping you from those sudden slumps that make you wonder what's wrong. The Mayo folks say steady energy means your heart's not struggling to keep up, delivering what your muscles and brain need all day long. If you're crashing hard after lunch every time, it might be worth a talk with your doc. Here's how to take a look. Eat smaller meals through the day. I've been doing a light lunch and a snack instead of one big plate, and it helps. Or take a short walk after sitting a while. Just to the end of the driveway keeps me going. Or let yourself nap a bit if you're feeling low. 20 minutes does it for me, and it's a simple way to know your heart's holding steady. Plus, we're tying this all up next with a big finish. You're tougher than you might figure. Steady energy's your heart's way of saying it's still got your back. Grace's notebook puts it plain. Energy keeps you rolling. And there you have it. 5 signs your heart's doing all right after 70. Straight from folks who've spent years figuring this stuff out with real science. A steady pulse when you're sitting still, blood pressure that's not creeping up, moving around without getting winded, cholesterol levels keeping things clear, and energy that lasts through your day. They're your everyday clues that your ticker's still got what it takes. I've seen these play out. My own pulse settling down after a morning coffee check, Sue perking up with her cholesterol in line. And the research backs it up. These little markers mean your heart's pumping steady, keeping you strong for the years ahead. Which one's sticking with you? For me, it's that energy bit. I used to fade by afternoon, but tweaking a few things has me going till supper now, and it feels good to know my heart's part of that. You don't need to overhaul everything tomorrow. Just take a look at one, see how it feels, maybe check your pulse or skip the extra salt, and go from there. Every small step's a nod to your heart doing its job. So here's my ask. Which one's speaking to you? Drop it in the comments below. I read every one, and I'd love to hear what's clicking for you or what you're already noticing. If this gave you a little lift, maybe a bit of relief about your ticker, hit that like button and subscribe to Life Wisdom. We're all in this together, sorting out these simple ways to keep our hearts steady and our days good. Here's to you and plenty of strong days ahead. Your heart's tougher than you might think.